How's it going, everybody? Ranger Patrick here at the lovely Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge, and I am joined today by two of my colleagues. We have with you here Ranger Nancy, and then over there, like we're shooting an album cover, is our Biotech Kelly, who will be talking to us about some bird treatment stuff. So we are going to be chatting about World Migratory Bird Day. It's a very exciting topic. And I'm going to be your MC through all of this, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop those into the chat. We would love to hear from you, and we'll do our best to answer them. There is a little bit of a time delay, and we do have a little bit of wind, so let us know if you're having any trouble listening to us. I'm going to try to hide behind pillars and stay low. But without further ado, let's kick it to Ranger Nancy. Ranger Nancy.
Greetings. Good afternoon. So glad that you joined us today for one of my favorite topics, and that is birds and bird watching. So we are celebrating World Migratory Bird Day, and we'll be talking a little bit about what that is and the activities associated with it. We're also going to be talking about bird migration, and we even have a special activity that we created just for Migratory Bird Day, and that is an on-site build your birding skills at one of our trails. We'll be talking about that. Also, unfortunately, bird populations are declining, so we're going to discuss that. But the good news is we're also going to speak on how you can help the declining bird population. So we have a lot to talk about one of my most favorite topics, and May is the time of year when we have lots and lots of migratory birds migrating, millions, if not billions of migratory birds, many of them migrating at night. So let's begin with, so what is a migratory bird? So basically it's a bird that travels from its breeding area to its wintering site, and they do that at a routine time annually. So for instance, you probably know robins, American robins. So they arrive in the spring, they start to breed, and then they may leave your area and go south to find better resources, food, and shelter and warmth where they can survive the winter. Some of them, however, may stay and be residents. You may know birds like cardinals or crows. Those type of birds stay year-round in the same place. So today we're going to be focusing on those migratory birds, and they do such an astonishing journey. Some of these birds are just not even an ounce, and they are traveling thousands of miles. Nearly 350 species travel from Canada and the United States, some going as far as South and Central America. Some even go into Venezuela. So in the Caribbean, in southern United States, Texas and Florida. So these tiny birds, and some little bigger birds as well, are making these tremendous perilous journeys, and we're going to talk about how you can help them too, and how you can celebrate them. So we're going to show you some examples. So if you take a look at my sign over here, the theme for World Migratory Bird Day this year is Sing, Fly, Soar Like a Bird. And today we're going to also introduce you into some building your bird watching techniques. So here are some migratory birds, for example. And this lovely bird right here is one of the first to come and visit the refuge. So they actually head south and travel down to Central and South America for the winter time, and they already have arrived back at Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge, and they breed here. So they're a little tiny canary-like bird with a beautiful song and beautiful color. And so we've already started seeing them in the prairie and along the oak savanna. Another migratory bird that you might see at the refuge is a wood thrush. They're rare to breed here, but they do show up here, and some of them might stop here for like a rest stop. Just like if you're going on a long journey, you're going to stop at a rest stop or stay at a hotel. Well, birds have to do the same thing, and Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge and other wildlife refuges and conservation areas provide those rest stops. So the wood thrush may just stop here, maybe over for a day or two, and then move on and find a breeding site farther north from us. And lastly, we'll point out another migratory bird that you might be familiar with, which is the turkey vulture. I like to call them TB. And they're birds known for soaring high in the sky, and they hold their wings in a V shape. So you might have noticed them as they kind of wobble back and forth as they're flying. So these are another migratory bird species, and they're found across the United States. The southern portion of the population actually don't migrate. They stay put because they can find all they need during the winter months. However, species in the western portion of the United States, some of them will travel all the way down to Venezuela. So they're traveling long thousands of miles, and luckily for them, they're great at soaring. So those are some examples of migratory birds. So hopefully maybe you can find some of these birds in your backyard or your neighborhood. It may not be these species, but some others that you can key into and just enjoy looking at the variety and the shapes and the sizes and the colors, and just thinking about their amazing journeys. So another thing, World Migratory Bird Day. So why do we celebrate that? And World Migratory Bird Day is sponsored by the nonprofit called the Environment for the Americas. And their goal is to highlight and celebrate migratory birds as well as help conserve them, because unfortunately their populations are declining. So what do people do to celebrate World Migratory Bird Day? They have wonderful activities, virtual presentations, kids crafts, programs online, field walks. So we are actually doing that here at Neal Smith National Wildlife Refuge. We have a self-guided tour, and it will help you to build your bird skills. You can also go to the World Migratory Bird Day website. There's a link in the Facebook chat or the comment section, and you can check out that website. Lots and lots of great programs. So why are we doing this in May? Because this is the height of the migration in North America. So this is the time to get out and watch birds as they migrate.
Hi.
So we'll be putting these out by this Saturday. So if you want to take the tour on the self-guided tour and learn how to build your bird skills, we're going to have 6 of these signs around the half-a-mile Overlook Trail, which is wheelchair accessible, and it's right here, right adjacent to the east side of the visitor center. And you can stop along these stations along the trail and learn the tips on how to bird watch. For instance, you can bird by shape. Excuse me for just a minute. And you can bird by shape, you can bird by sound, also the colors and patterns, and these signs will actually show you how to do that. In addition to that, we will also have a brochure that you can take home with you and take along with you on the trail. And this folds out, and this gives you the 6 different birding skills that you can focus on during your time here at the refuge and when you leave, so you can begin your journey with bird watching. And you can just come out and enjoy using the signs and picking up the brochure at the brochure rack, which is by the flagpole at the entrance to the visitor center. Or you can bring some other tools. We also have a bird checklist that you can also pick up at the brochure rack, along with the bird brochure that I just showed you. You can also get a field guide from your local library, or you may have one at home. That's really a big help. And often enough, you can use your cell phone, and you can use that in 2 different ways. You can actually download a field guide. There's free ones available on your phone. So when you're out in the field, you can use those apps to help you to identify birds, not only by pictures, but also by sound, which is really fun. And additionally, we're going to make an on-sale app, which is a program we're using here to do our narration for our tours, and that's going to show you some birds and that you're likely to see at the refuge and a little bit about them. So you can download that app starting on Saturday, as well as this tour will be available. After about a week and a half, 2 weeks, we're going to actually move these signs to the Oak Savanna. You can see that off in the distance, and that's another half-a-mile trail, and then you can learn about the birds that migrate and live in the Oak Savanna. So we hope that you can get out and enjoy this activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alicia says, the Sibley guide is excellent. Yeah, always good to find your favorite bird guide. It's a great thing to bring with you when you're going out bird watching.
Great comment. Thank you so much. And I not only have one, but I probably have about 5 different bird guides because I'm a bird nut. I've been bird watching since I was a kid. And another thing about bird watching, I'm originally from New York City, and I always loved nature. And the way I was able to connect to wildlife was through birds, because you can find birds in urban areas, wild areas, suburban areas. So birds are found in many, many different places. So it's a lot of fun and very exciting. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you is a little bit about the decline of birds. The bird species in North America are not doing very well, especially grassland species. They did a study and they estimate since 1970 that we've lost about 30% of the bird population in the United States and Canada. That's almost 1 in 4 birds. So they need your help. And a lot of the reasons they're declining is because it's impacted by people's activities. The good news about it is that you can help by planting in your backyard native plants so they have find food and shelter, putting out a bird bath, maybe a bird feeder. I know a lot of people enjoy doing that, watching hummingbirds and orioles. But there's other things you can do. And supporting places like Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge and other conservation areas is a vital thing to do, because birds need habitat, whether it's grassland, woodland, depending on the species. They need to have that habitat for them to survive. So watching today is supporting and learning about birds, and that's a great thing to do. So we really appreciate you joining us today. So we're going to move it on to how you can help, and we're going to turn it over to Kelly Jacobs, and she's going to talk to you about how you can help migratory birds and resident birds. We're going to turn it over to Kelly.
Thanks so much, Nancy. And again, everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments section. Otherwise, we are ready to move on to Biotech Kelly.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. So here at Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge, our beautiful visitor center is right in the middle of tall grass prairie habitat. And we know that there are a lot of migratory birds that visit the tall grass prairie and live here over the summer months to breed, and then they'll eventually migrate in the fall. But take a look at the windows in our beautiful visitor center. We see these as barriers, but unfortunately birds do not. Maybe you can tell from the view that Patrick is giving you right now that windows reflect clouds and sky and prairie. And so the birds see those reflections, and unfortunately they do not know to stop when they get to a window. So one thing that we've done at Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge is we have decided to try our best to prevent bird collisions by adding a small little decal to our windows that we hardly notice but make a big difference to birds that are flying through the prairie. So Patrick, come this way, take a look. Outside of our greenhouse and solarium here, we have added these decals. They look like tiny little spots. But if they cover the entire window, on the outside of the glass, they turn this window into a barrier. And so birds can tell that this should not be flown through. It's a really easy thing to do. Didn't take much time for us to apply these dots, but it's going to make a big difference, especially during the migration seasons. So there's a lot of different options. If you are someone who wants to cover your windows at home or at your business or anywhere, there's a lot of different options that you can use. Some of them you can buy, some of them you can make yourself. We have one version here of a DIY bird strike prevention system, and this is simply paracord hanging vertically on the outside of the window. Now I suggest making it, they're a little bit far away at this point, but usually it's suggested that you keep your, whether it's vertical lines, vertical stickers, anything about 2 inches apart. And then outside the window is the best place to have whatever you choose to put on top of your window to prevent bird strikes. So if you want to put bird collision prevention on your windows, just take a look, type in, they have a lot of options on the Migratory Bird website through the Fish and Wildlife Service. Another really simple DIY that you can use to cover your windows at home is if you have a paint marker, you can make your own dots 2 inches apart from each other, and that can be a temporary solution that helps birds see your glass. So there's lots of different options. Take a peek on anywhere, really. Just if you're concerned about bird collisions, just take a peek online and see some options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lots of options you can do, and that paracord seems so easy. You can just hang something 2 inches apart, you said, Kelly?
Yeah, 2 inches apart, and you can either fix it on the bottom of your window or you can let it blow in the breeze, and it just altogether creates a barrier for birds to see.
That's great. Great information. Thank you so much. And yeah, I can tell you, we don't even notice these little dots anymore. We've gotten so used to them, and they're really not obstructive at all. So it's really not much of a hindrance to the humans, and it's a big difference for the birds. So definitely something to consider.
Right. If you want to do one more thing during the migration season, a really easy thing for you to do would be to turn off any lights outside. That helps migrants get to where they're going. So if you want to, cover your windows and turn off excess lights.
Great things. So go ahead. If you have any questions for Kelly, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, do you have anything else to add, Kelly?
I think that's all I had. I love migration season, and so when we got to put these up at Neil Smith in front of the windows here, I was really excited because I feel like we're making a pretty big difference.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Kelly.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll drop back to Ranger Nancy. Ranger Nancy, do we have any other last thoughts about migratory birds? A favorite one, perhaps?
Oh, you know, there's so many. I love warblers and shorebirds. Those are my two favorite groups. So, and they're going through right now. So please, if you can, get out. Just looking in your own backyard, you might see some new bird species that are just passing through. The beautiful colors, orange and yellows and greens, and just gorgeous birds, and even blues like the indigo bunting. So, and if you can, come out and join us here at Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge. This Saturday we'll start our program with a self-guided tour along the Overlook Trail, and we just wish you the best for the migratory season. Check out World Migratory Bird Day activities, and we hope to see you at the refuge if you can make it, and or maybe a refuge right in your neighborhood or nearby. So thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Yep, thank you very much, Ranger Nancy. So, this is Ranger Patrick again. So we'll hang out another minute in case anyone has any questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. Really enjoyed being able to chat with all of you today. And hopefully you can join in us for the next Facebook Live video. So stay tuned to our Facebook page for those events coming up. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day, everyone. And Monica asks, my daughter wants to know if you have blue jays on the prairie. Ooh, Nancy, you would know that one.
Yes, we do. And blue jays can be migratory, and I believe they can also be, they can stay local too. So yes, we do have a population of blue jays, and they don't like the prairie as much. They like the woodland, so you would, or oak savanna habitat, and I'm pointing that way because that's where our oak savanna is. So that would be a good spot to see blue jays. And they're one of my favorites because as a kid, I used to get them in my backyard in New York City. So, and a beautiful bird. And they live in family groups, which is not always the case for many bird species. Great question. Thank you so much for asking.
Absolutely. And if you like bluebirds, our indigo buntings were at the oak savanna as well, and they're gorgeous to see. I got to see some the other day. All right, any other questions? We can show you a lovely pan of the prairie. Hopefully you're not getting too much wind. And that tree area beyond, just down the road, is what we're talking about with the oak savanna.
I don't know if you can see that turkey vulture flying. He's just coming up over the Overlook Trail right now, Patrick.
Oh yeah,
Oh, he just
he's a
went
little
down.
too far.
Yeah, it's too far off, sorry.
And you might be seeing some swallows swooping around. They like to nest up in the eaves of our building. So if you're ever really lazy and you don't even want to do a trail, you can just look at the top of the building. You can see one on top of our light. Dale says, thank you. Yep, thanks for joining us here today, Dale. And if there's no other questions, Monica has one more. Are red-winged blackbirds migratory? Kelly, do you know that one?
I think that they are. Yeah, they come back. I don't know where they migrate to. I'm not sure about that one, but I know that they come back and they find a really specific spot where they want to live, and they breed, and then the females come back eventually too. And I just love their song. They like to live around wetlands, right? Lower, wetter areas. So you can see them all over the refuge here. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're one of the earliest to come back,
Yeah.
too. Yeah. They're one of the earliest migrants. They usually come back probably in March, I think.
Yep, definitely one of the harbingers of spring.
You know, occasionally with bird species, majority of them migrate, but there might be a few that hang around, but that might be the case for the red wings, but the majority of the individual birds will migrate.
Excellent. Thank you, Nancy. All right, again, we'll give you a couple more seconds and some more prairie. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're signing off. Have a good rest of the day.